Welcome back to Analysis Hub, everyone. When a club like Real Madrid starts showing cracks inside the dressing room, the whole of European football pays attention. Not because one training ground incident automatically changes everything, not because one disagreement means a player is suddenly available, but because at the highest level, timing matters, atmosphere matters, relationships matter, and sometimes a transfer window does not open because a club wants to sell. It opens because the situation around a player becomes unstable enough for another club to ask the question. The situation is this. Aurelien Tchouameni has been viewed for a long time as one of the pillars of the Real Madrid midfield. He was signed as part of a new generation, a player capable of carrying Real Madrid beyond the Casemiro era. Strong, athletic, intelligent, and already experienced at the highest level, Aurelien Tchouameni was never supposed to be a simple squad player. He was supposed to be part of the future at Santiago Bernabeu. But now, reports from Spain have placed him in the middle of a serious internal story involving Federico Valverde. According to those reports, the tension between Aurelien Tchouameni and Federico Valverde went beyond a normal training ground disagreement, and Federico Valverde was taken to hospital after the incident. Real Madrid, a club built on control, image, and internal authority, will not treat that lightly. And that is where Manchester United come into the picture. Before this, the idea of Manchester United signing Aurelien Tchouameni felt extremely difficult. Real Madrid had no obvious reason to sell. Aurelien Tchouameni had no clear public reason to leave. Manchester United could admire the player, watch the player, and place his name on a shortlist, but admiration alone does not create a deal. Big clubs do not give away elite midfielders just because another club likes them. But here is the problem. Football transfers are not only about contracts, they are also about pressure. They are about mood. They are about whether a player feels untouchable, whether a dressing room still feels balanced, and whether a club sees a future with the same group of players. If the tension inside Real Madrid continues to grow, Manchester United may see the kind of opening that did not exist before. That does not mean Real Madrid are certain to sell Aurelien Tchouameni. They are not. It does not mean Aurelien Tchouameni is pushing to leave Santiago Bernabeu. There is no need to exaggerate the story. But it does mean Manchester United should be alert, because this is exactly the kind of situation where a smart club moves early, quietly, and with a clear plan. The evidence suggests Manchester United need more than just another midfielder. They need a new foundation. Casemiro gave Manchester United experience, personality, aggression, and winning mentality. In his best moments, Casemiro brought authority to Old Trafford. He made Manchester United feel more serious. He gave the team a player who understood pressure, trophies, and the emotional weight of big matches. But time does not wait for anyone. Manchester United cannot build the next era by leaning forever on the memories of what Casemiro used to be. At some point, every serious football club has to thank the past and move toward the future. That is not disrespect. That is standards. That is planning. That is how elite clubs survive. And this is why Aurelien Tchouameni is such an interesting name. Aurelien Tchouameni is not just a defensive midfielder who can sit in front of the centre-backs. He gives you range, he gives you strength in duels, he gives you the ability to cover space before danger becomes visible. He can protect the back line, break up attacks, and still help the team move the ball forward. That matters for Manchester United, because too often Manchester United have looked too open through the middle of the pitch. You know the pattern. Manchester United lose the ball, the space opens, the opposition runs straight through the centre, the defenders are exposed, the midfield is stretched, the whole team suddenly looks fragile. That is not only an individual problem, that is a system problem. And when a system has a soft centre, every other weakness becomes louder. Aurelien Tchouameni could change that feeling, not by solving everything alone, because no single player fixes an entire club, but by giving Manchester United a different level of security. When Manchester United defend, Aurelien Tchouameni can stand in front of the centre-backs and close the space between the lines. When Manchester United press, Aurelien Tchouameni can step forward and stop counters before they become dangerous. When Manchester United build from deep, Aurelien Tchouameni can receive the ball, stay calm, and connect the first pass into midfield. And then you start to think about Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo is one of the most important pieces of the Manchester United future. He has composure, he has balance, he can receive under pressure, he can carry the ball through traffic, but young players need the right structure around them. If Kobbie Mainoo is asked to do everything, defend everything, control everything, and rescue every broken phase, then Manchester United risk turning a special talent into an overloaded player. Put Aurelien Tchouameni behind or beside Kobbie Mainoo, and the picture changes. Kobbie Mainoo gets more freedom to progress the ball. Bruno Fernandes gets a stronger platform ahead of him. The wide players receive the ball in better moments. The centre-backs are not constantly dragged into emergency defending. The entire team starts to feel less stretched. That is the deeper story here. Manchester United are not just looking for a name. They are looking for balance. They are looking for a midfield that can finally protect pass, press, and control without collapsing after one mistake. Aurelien Tchouameni fits that idea because he brings physical power without losing technical quality. He brings defensive discipline without turning the team into a passive side. And there is a symbolic layer to this as well. Real Madrid signed Aurelien Tchouameni to help replace Casemiro. Now, Manchester United could look at Aurelien Tchouameni as the player to replace Casemiro at Old Trafford. That is a fascinating loop. Real Madrid moved early when they saw the need to refresh the midfield. Manchester United in many ways arrived later to the same lesson. Experience is valuable, but experience alone is not a long-term structure. At some point, legs matter, mobility matters, recovery speed matters. The ability to cover big spaces matters. If Manchester United managed to bring Aurelien Tchouameni to Old Trafford, it would not simply be a transfer, it would be a correction. It would be Manchester United admitting that the midfield cannot be patched forever, it must be rebuilt properly. But let us be clear, this deal would not be easy. Real Madrid still have a strong negotiating position. Aurelien Tchouameni has a long contract. He is in his prime years. He plays for one of the biggest clubs in world football. And even if Real Madrid become frustrated by the internal situation, they will not allow a player of this level to leave cheaply. Manchester United would need a serious offer, a serious sporting pitch, and a serious role for the player. There is also competition. When a player like Aurelien Tchouameni becomes even slightly available, Manchester United will not be alone. Other elite clubs will watch. Other clubs will speak to representatives. Other clubs will wait for any signal from Real Madrid. So Manchester United cannot approach this like a desperate gamble. They need to be precise. First, Manchester United must understand the player's real position. Is Aurelien Tchouameni happy at Santiago Bernabeu? Does he still feel central to the Real Madrid project? Does the incident with Federico Valverde change anything in his mind? Those questions matter more than public noise. Second, Manchester United must watch how Real Madrid respond. If Real Madrid close the matter quickly, protect both players, and restore calm, the door may stay almost shut. But if the tension leaves lasting damage, if Real Madrid decide the dressing room needs a reset, then Manchester United must be ready. Third, Manchester United must sell a football project, not just a salary. Aurelien Tchouameni does not need an ordinary move. He would need to see a role that gives him importance, responsibility, and a clear future. Manchester United must be able to say, you are not coming here as another expensive signing. You are coming here to lead the midfield into a new era. That is the difference between a transfer and a project. And this is where Manchester United must learn from the mistakes of the past. Too often, Manchester United have chased names after the market has already moved. Too often, they have paid for reputation instead of structure. Too often, the club has signed players and only later tried to work out how everything fits. With Aurelien Tchouameni, the plan has to be clear from the beginning. He would be the shield. Kobbie Mainoo would be the connector. Bruno Fernandes would be the creator. The backline would finally have better protection. The attack would receive the ball in more stable conditions. That is how one signing can affect the entire team, not through hype, but through structure. And that is why this story matters. The fight between Aurelien Tchouameni and Federico Valverde may not force Real Madrid into a sale. It may disappear quickly. It may become just another internal problem handled behind closed doors. But for Manchester United, the lesson is simple. Elite clubs do not wait until a door is wide open. They recognise when it begins to move. If Manchester United are serious about returning to the highest level, they must act like a club with standards. Not emotional standards, not social media standards, real football standards. Identify the weakness, find the right profile, move before the market becomes crowded. convince the player with a serious sporting vision, and build a team that can stay stable under pressure. Casemiro deserves respect for what he brought to Manchester United, but the future cannot be built on gratitude alone. The future has to be built on legs, control, intelligence, and hunger. Aurelien Tchouameni would not just be a Casemiro replacement. He could be the beginning of a different Manchester United midfield. Stronger, younger, more balanced, more difficult to play through. And if Manchester United can turn uncertainty at Santiago Bernabeu into a statement at Old Trafford, then this would be more than an opportunistic transfer. It would be a sign that the club finally understands what rebuilding really means. Because the biggest clubs are not only judged by the players they sign, they are judged by the timing of the decisions they make. And for Manchester United, this may be one of those moments where timing, ambition, and need all meet in the same place.